Everyone, I'm Leandra Medine, founder of Man Repeller. We're very excited to welcome you to Rag & Bone's shoppable Google Plus Hangout in partnership with the Council of Fashion Designers of America, otherwise known as the CFDA. I have Rag & Bone's Marcus Wainwright and David Neville with me. Guys, welcome to Google Plus.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me, guys. There's the video. Today, everyone watching will have an opportunity to hear from David and Marcus, and at the same time have the chance to browse and buy their top picks for the season through this Hangout. Check out the shopping app on the right side of your screen and be sure to click on the trends as we chat through them. We're joined by an amazing group in today's Hangout. First up is Carla Martinez, Fashion Market and Accessories Director of W Magazine. Hi, Carla.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Carla.
Thanks for being here. What color are your shoes?
They are tan and black, not white.
Not white. Okay. I think tan and black
But palms
is good.
nonetheless.
Okay. Next, we have Chriselle Lim, wardrobe stylist and digital influencer in LA. Hi, Chriselle. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Hi.
Hi. Now we have Ella Catliff, founder and editor of La Petite Anglaise. She's joining from across the pond in the UK. Hi, Ella.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. How'd I do?
It's always good to hear an English accent. I bet it's raining in London. Is it raining?
I don't think it's raining right now, but it'll probably start in about 5 minutes.
What
Let's
colour
see
is
either
the
way.
sky?
Tan
I
and
don't know.
black.
I'm miles away.
And from Seattle, we have Olivia Kim, Director of Creative Projects at Nordstrom. Hi, Olivia.
Hey there. Nice to see you guys.
Hi.
Nice to see you too. We missed you in Seattle last week.
I know. I thought you were going to ask me about the rain on this side.
No. We enjoyed being in
It's
Seattle.
raining here.
It was quite a lot like
Seattle's
London.
super fun.
Yeah.
I know, and I heard you guys killed it, so thanks
No,
for
we
coming
enjoyed
out.
it. It was just the weather was
Thanks.
great.
Finally, we're joined by Rag & Bone fans from around the country who are inspired by Marcus and David and their designs. They all submitted questions online, and we're excited to have them chat with us today. First, we have Chayla from Washington, D.C. Hey, girl.
Hey, hi everyone.
Hi.
Lastly, we have Shay and Julie joining us from Kansas City. Hi,
Hi,
guys.
guys.
All right. So,
Let's do it.
to kick off the conversation, let's start with the basics. As two British guys with no formal fashion training, can you tell us how you got involved in the business?
Yeah, I can. That's my fault, kind of. Long story, but to be brief, I was living in Mexico. I was a diver in Mexico and met a very pretty girl on the beach. And
And you told her your name was Rufus.
I did. She laughed at me.
No, he actually said, "Do you speak English?"
Yeah, she did. She did laugh at me for that. And anyway, she's now my wife and the beautiful mother of my 3 children. So I ended up back in New York, having vowed never to live in a city again. But after about 6 months, I didn't have anything to do, didn't have a job, and just one day I had the idea to go about trying to work out how clothes are made. Started with a pair of jeans because that's what I wore, and that was the sort of beginning of the idea. That was the end of 2001. And here we are today. David joined a couple of years later. He was living in London as a banker. I couldn't count, so needed some help and shipped him out here, and here we are.
I can't count either.
No, I failed my maths GCSE twice. That's very easy maths, just for anyone who doesn't know what that is.
I didn't.
The lady in
Thanks for
London
that.
probably will.
That's really interesting. So a love story brought you to Rag & Bone.
That's
Literally
great.
found love in a hopeless place. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Julie, you had a question, didn't you?
Yeah, so we read that you guys met at a boarding school in the UK, and we just wondered what your first impressions were of each other, and if you guys ever imagined that you would become fashion designers together.
Well, I mean, first impressions. We've known each other a very long time. We met when we were probably 14 years old, which is a long time. I'm not going to say how old we are now, but it's about 22 years ago, so that'll give you a good guess.
Good thing Marcus can't do math, right?
He's older than me.
Trying to figure it out.
Marcus was in the year above me at school, so he bullied me a little bit when we were younger.
That's not just. Can you put the camera back on me? That's not true.
My mum's actually watching, I think. But we had a lot of fun at school. We had a lot of fun when we left school. When we were like 18 or 19, we actually worked together in a bar in Portugal, which was a lot of fun as a young man growing up. And I did always feel that one day we may be able to work together. Only when Marcus was here in Manhattan and had the idea to start making some clothes did that really become anything more serious. But we'd known each other a long time. It takes a lot of trust, mutual trust, to sort of be where we are today, and I'm very, very grateful for that.
Sweet kind of you to say.
Is that bar in Portugal what inspired the lilac suede from Spring?
Possibly. It inspired quite a lot. It was called Lobos, I think. We were much too young. I was working behind the bar. Pretty sure that was illegal at the time, but it was let's say, formative years.
All right. Let's get to the good stuff,
Okay.
shall we? The clothes. David and Marcus, we're so excited to chat with you about some of your favorite trends of the season. Can you tell us a little bit about what inspired the downtown tailoring look? Cue models.
Key Josephine. I'll just talk generally just to begin with. Rag & Bone is, heavily influenced as a brand by English tailoring. Having had no formal fashion training at all we really had to go with was where we'd come from, and having gone to an English boarding school and having grown up wearing my dad's handed down Savile Row suits, it's something that stuck with me, and it's something that I think inspires our collections, on a seasonal basis. This is a good example of that. It's a real camel hair men's inspired overcoat. It's called the Roseburg coat. It's got a really wicked lapel, really classic, timeless piece. Everyone I think should own a camel hair coat. I do. I'd look pretty sharp in it, to be honest. So that's one of those things that I think is sort of quintessential Rag & Bone. Here we've got this wicked pant, leisure pant it's called. It's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek name, but we're not great at names sometimes. Come up with some really interesting ones. But it's a confetti print, we call it. It's inspired from this vintage French wallpaper I found. And, I think balances really well. I think this is a really good example of how the Rag & Bone girl dresses, this hard and soft or masculine, feminine contrast. So a very easy pant with a much more formal coat. She's got the Hudson boot. Our shoe business is really exciting. We love making shoes. And this is done extremely well. The 3 buckles, a little bit of an edgier silhouette. And the Hudson shirt, which is, again, we do a lot of button-down shirts for girls. Just a cool Rag & Bone look.
It is cool.
It's got it's great, exciting.
You're so hip. Ella, I know that you have a question for them pertaining to this look, which, by the way, is shoppable, everybody. Don't forget. So Ella, go ahead with your question.
Yes. Sorry, my camera is malfunctioning. But the idea of downtown tailoring is one of those fashion phrases that kind of sounds like a bit of a contradiction in theory, but as we all know, works very well in practice. And as you were saying, it's kind of one of the defining features of Rag & Bone. Well, you developed it through tailoring. Was it a look you set out to develop? And why do you think we all go so crazy for it?
It's an excellent question. I don't really know why you all go so crazy for it. I think from the very beginning, our first ever women's collection was literally all menswear inspired stuff, all cut for girls. And I think that, I don't know where it comes from. I think vintage has a lot to do with it. I think girls, especially in New York and in London, they wear a lot of vintage clothes, and more often than not, some of the amazing vintage clothes that you find are menswear pieces, and I think that's had a lot to do with it. But, I don't know. There's a timeless aspect of it, I think. Menswear has changed a lot less over time than women's wear, and I think that's made it feel timeless. And I think those pieces, certainly when they're vintage or when they're, inspired by classic pieces from a brand like Rag & Bone, I think they're the sort of timeless pieces that you want to have in your wardrobe, and I think that's why everyone's really drawn to them. And for us, it's been a key part of what we do, whether it's tailoring or vintage military, again, menswear inspired. It's fun to do, and as a guy, it's kind of easy to do. So yeah.
Chriselle has a question too, but before we cut to her, I'm just wondering, if you prefer seeing, see a girl walking down the street and she's wearing rag and bone, are you more excited by her wearing rag and bone men or rag and bone women? Because I mostly wear the menswear. I buy very small jeans and cut them at the bottom. Sorry.
I think, yeah, it's a good question. I love seeing them in the menswear because it's, you know, I think the rag and bone girl, I think what's very inspiring about the rag and bone girl, or the girl that we see in rag and bone, is that she has her own sense of style, a very strong personal sense of style, and she's really free to put together whatever she feels like. And I think it's a very New York way of dressing, mixing uptown and downtown and vintage and designer and whatever it is. So when you see a girl in menswear, literally clothes that maybe were originally designed for men, it is very inspiring because that girl is, you know, she's just got a very strong sense of herself, and you know, if you can pull it off, which you more often than not can when you have that sort of strong sense of style, you can look awesome in anything. And when it's men's, it's, you know, it's taking that one step further, and I think it's super cool.
I think so too. Thanks for calling me so cool.
How's my hair?
Griselle, what was your question?
First of all, you guys are a huge inspiration to so many people out there. And do you guys have any particular advice for aspiring designers who may not have formal fashion background like yourself?
Yeah, I think our biggest piece of advice would be like move to New York City. And we ended up here through circumstance, like Marcus was explaining, but really New York affords everything that you would want as a young fashion designer. You know, I think almost unlike anywhere else in the world, because if we make the comparison to London or Milan or Paris, New York has advantages in so many different ways, you know, whether it's the garment district, which the CFDA are sort of big advocates of, supporting and maintaining, that affords young designers to go and make samples, source fabric, buy buttons, everything you need to do to make clothes. And you know, that the rag trade in London is sadly sort of faded away, and the garment district basically enabled Donna Karan, Calvin Klein, you know, these big brands to sort of emerge, and now you're seeing a new wave of young American designers like ourselves and Alexander Wang and Philip Lim that, you know, really sort of were conceived and grown in the garment district. So that's a big part of it, of the answer. I think the other part of it is just that the North American market is so big in scale that by being here in New York, you have the opportunity to develop businesses with US retailers that can really help you scale your business. And again, it's less easy to do that in Europe because it's so broken up and the department stores have fewer stores. So move to New York City, big city of dreams.
You can stay by me for a little if you need. I think Marcus is also willing to have people stay with him. Is that what you were saying earlier?
Absolutely, yeah. Anyone who wants to come.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's go to the second trend, borrowed from the boys, which is very much in line with everything we've been discussing. Don't forget, these looks are shoppable. I'll just keep reminding you that every couple of minutes. So,
I think, well, so as Marcus was saying, we started this business in menswear. So when we first started doing women's wear, you know, there was a lot of masculine, boyish influence in the clothes, and they maintain, you know, they're still here today. I mean, I think we think that it's a cute way for girls to dress. You know, that sort of borrowed from the boys, but as long as it's still feminine and cute and sexy, then you know, I think we like the girls like it when girls dress that way. So this is a really cool pant. We had a lot of success with this easy pant, which is just like a pull-on pant, and this is being redesigned in velvet. It's now called the track pant. Can easily be worn with a sneaker or equally dressed up with a heel. It's a really cool pant, one of Marcus's favorites.
It is.
he looks like a new age Tannenbaum or something.
It's cute. The sneakers are cute too, like the little sort of boyish skate shoe. It's really cute.
I'm actually pretty sure my husband has those for men.
I mean, the top, again, it's just sort of an interesting play on the dressier fabrics on a sort of raglan silhouette. So it's casual but dressy at the same time. And, you know, I think all in all, she has that kind of rag and bone attitude that we've been talking about.
Some of the accessories that we're not seeing actually on the girl are super cool as well. I think we put this with the pilot backpack, which we have on the shelf, and some of the Monroe
I can help with
glasses. Okay, look at that, an assistant.
And like a regular Vanna White.
You know, we launched the pilot bag a year or so ago, and it's been incredibly well received, super successful. This is a brand new silhouette. Beautifully presented. So that's a really exciting new part of our business now. How we have the shoes and bags is the new frontier for us, and it's going amazingly well. So we're really excited by that. And this backpack, I think, goes with pretty much anything.
I really like these black sunglasses
Yeah,
too.
me too.
These are pretty hip.
I mean, you've got to love the velvet trousers, honestly. Look at that.
Yeah, who
the
doesn't?
tuxedo stripe down the side.
I think they look better on you, right? Kind of. She's like, kind of. Carla. Hey, Carla.
Hey.
So I have a question for you. Given your initiated stance in fashion and the fact that women in menswear is becoming such an overwhelming and prominent trend, why do you think the Rag & Bone guys have been able to nail it so hard?
Well, I think, as they've said,
kinda
they
gross.
started in menswear, so they've been doing this even before, other people have followed suit, and I think it's something that really works well for them. I think, for someone like myself that can't pull off wearing their husband's clothes, or at least I can't without looking silly, it's great that I have this, resource like someone like Rag & Bone that can just make an amazing pair of track pants and make them look chic and still super feminine without feeling like I'm wearing my gym clothes. I think it's the balance between the men's sensibility and it being flattering on a woman is great.
All right. Chayla, you're up. Do you have a question for the guys?
Yes, I do. I know you all touched on this a bit earlier, but I wanted to know what is the Rag & Bone woman you imagine when you design?
Okay, it's a good question. I get asked that a lot. There's no specific girl. I mean, I think that we've always said, or I've always answered that question with saying that the Rag & Bone girl is more of a state of mind. It's more of a way of thinking than a particular person. I don't have a muse per se that we go to every season and design for. The Rag & Bone girl really just thinks about clothes in a certain way, and I think as personified in many ways by a New York girl, to be fair. I think the way New York girls dress is really inspiring, and it's not specific to New York at all, it's all over the world, but just as a point of reference, the different parts of New York, the uptown girl, the downtown girl, the Williamsburg, Brooklyn girl, it's all very different. If you isolate it, it's all quite different individual styles, but I think the way that people have begun to dress in the last maybe 8-10 years has been really mixing that up. So you'll see someone in very high-end designer mixed with vintage, mixed with Zara, mixed with H&M, mixed with Alexander Wang, mixed with Rag & Bone. I mean, everything mixed together. And I think that sort of vision, as the girls here are very confident in their look, and I think are really happy to mix things up. You don't see anyone head to toe in one designer anymore. The people just don't dress like that. So mixing things up is really interesting. And so, when we're designing a line, we have the freedom really to design a line that covers everything. So from t-shirts to hand-tailored jackets, whatever it might be, we design for that girl in mind, so she can pick anything from Rag & Bone, and it's going to look cool however she wears it. So, I mean, to answer the question, there isn't really a specific person. It's just a mindset. I think, as I said earlier, girls that are really confident in their own look and have, that sort of strength of personality to wear whatever they feel comfortable in. I think that's the ideal girl to design for, and I think that's, who our customer is in many ways.
All right, Olivia. Hi, Olivia.
Hi.
Now, because you work for such a major retailer, I'm sure that you are very frequently seeing girls try and style these looks. So what do you typically see?
I think one of the best things about Nordstrom being such a great partner with Rag & Bone and Rag & Bone being such a great partner with us is that we, because of our being a national retailer, we have such a broad base of customers. We've got that feminine customer, we've got that tomboy customer, and I think that Rag & Bone really does a really great job of providing something for everyone. We're seeing some of the girls that are embracing that tomboy tailoring style, adding it with a really beautiful necklace or something that's jeweled, or adding with a pop of color. And then we're also seeing some of the, the prettier, more frilly girls kind of taking it and trying to add things like the backpack or the rag and bone sneaker with it. And I think that that's one of the things that I really love so much about rag and bone is that it's super democratic, it's universal, and I think even with those sporty looks, you put on that great camel hair coat and you're ready to go, and it looks super chic.
All right.
Thank you.
Cool.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Better than mine.
Your PR person wrote it. Just kidding. Just kidding.
I think we're going to head to the third trend now, which is fringe benefits, not to be confused with friends with benefits. Come on out.
Careful with that one. Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a good segue. I mean, I think rather than, we've highlighted a lot of the tailoring and the menswear inspired stuff that we do, but, we also, believe it or not, have a feminine side. And I think it's very important to balance everything. I think what I was talking about earlier with the balance between hard and soft. If you look at our last show, it was predominantly it's a softer show and a much cleaner show than normal. And I think this dress is a good indication of the sort of breadth of rag and bone, a much more feminine look. This is called the Karina fringe dress. A little bit of a sort of flapperish style, but again, worn with a more masculine coat over the top. I think is a perfect balance of hard and soft, or masculine and feminine. Could be worn with a fedora. We have this wicked, these wide brim fedoras. They're made by the Bowman Hat Company here in America, which is super cool. Are we going to
Is it this one?
Yeah, might well be. Yeah, look at that. What a coincidence.
Put it on. It's a good one. It's nice and wide brim.
But just like super cool girl. Again, you dress it down with a little mini pilot bag or a boot, depending on the mood. You can dress it up or down. Again, as we were talking about earlier, and I think it's like I was saying, it's about balance. A girl's look is about balance. There is the feminine girl and there's the more masculine girl, but I think overall, it's the girls that put the masculine and feminine pieces together that have the coolest look. I think that's a perfect example.
See how seamless that is? Just slipped
at
onto
that.
her shoulder.
Ready to go. You see that kind of girl out in New York on any given evening, providing it's warm enough.
Yeah. I think if it were me wearing it, I'd probably put a pair of pants underneath it, a blouse underneath the dress, a jacket over the blouse, another hat on, and maybe like 2 separate shoes, even though those ones are real good. Those are real good.
You heard it from an expert. We don't know what we're doing.
Well, let's hear what Chriselle thinks. How would you wear this?
I absolutely love this dress. That dress needs to be in my closet like now. But I would probably mix it up a little bit with Leandra's denim jacket. I would love to see that. I love mixing textures and different materials together, so I think that would be a good juxtaposition of like feminine and masculine, cool and soft.
That's good. The jacket is rag and bone, so you can all buy it.
Awesome.
You could actually literally have this dress appear in your closet if you shop the Hangout.
Just
All
blatant.
right.
It's perfect. I feel like the dress would work well for spring too.
Yeah, with white shoes, right?
Yeah.
Still is spring in New York. Probably not in London, but
Still kind of. boiling
hot outside
It
in
is
a
still
t-shirt.
kind of.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oversized sweater.
Yes. All right, I really like the hat. I'm very into fedoras. I like a wide brim Panama hat. This teeters a little bit more on wide brim Panama, right? Can I go there?
Yeah,
Can't
if
go
you're
there?
gonna- if you can already split hairs.
Yes. Ella, do you have any advice for how women can pull this hat off other than just put it on their head?
Oh, fedoras, I think, are tricky when they're done well. They look amazing, but you can go a bit wrong. All I would say was keep other accessories maybe fairly minimal. Maybe don't go for the fedora and the glasses and the necklace without looking like a mad bag lady. But fedoras are great. Just keep everything else toned down.
What's wrong with looking like a mad bag lady?
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
All right, fair enough. I loved watching all of I feel like, you know what I feel like we're doing right now? Chat roulette. What was that thing called? Remember?
No.
Was it chat roulette?
Must be an American thing.
Yeah, it is an American thing. I don't know.
You just didn't know
it
who
got
you
a
were
little
talking
out of
about. No, you have that
hand,
in
but Google Hangout equals chat roulette, huh? Okay, never mind, I'm just kidding. Anyway, we're nearing the end of the Hangout. We're in the home stretch, but let's ask a couple questions to Marcus and David because we have them here. Chayla, I hear that you have a good one, so take it away.
Yes, I do. I know you all are both married, and I want to know, do you ever give the red flag to your wives? Do you say, no, honey, you can't wear those patent leather boots tonight?
We learned quite a long time ago you're not allowed to do that.
That's rule number 1 of being married. Do not do that.
Yeah.
That is right.
Ever, even if you mean it.
Do you ever get offended when they take a liking toward one of your direct competitors?
They're just not allowed to wear the direct competitor's clothes.
Oh, so then that,
No,
I
I'm
guess,
kidding, I'm kidding.
I guess that's a yes to the
No,
offense.
that's fine.
I get more offended from the credit card statements from Celine.
Oh, that's a tough one. I can see how that might.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Oh, that Phoebe.
But we both seriously have very, very stylish wives, and they've inspired a lot of what we've done here at Rag & Bone. And my wife was the first fit model for the women's clothes, so we wouldn't, neither of us, be here without them. So let's point that out.
Yeah. FYI, wives. AB, if you're watching,
It's true.
I
I don't
expect
mind
the same
watching.
response to that
She's upstate
question.
somewhere.
All right, Shay, let's hear from you.
Sure. On a lighter note, do you have any funny wardrobe malfunctions, either on your shows or in your personal life, that you'd like to share?
Depends on your definition of a malfunction.
That's right.
We've never had touch wood. I need to find some wood. That's a weird English thing, touching wood. It doesn't do anything, but it makes you feel better.
Do you know why that is?
No.
Because the first cross was wood. That's that's why you knock
I
on
didn't
wood.
know that. You learn something new every day.
Yes.
But touch wood, you get no wood. That's probably wood, isn't it? We've never had a wardrobe malfunction at a show.
We've had a girl pass out backstage just before she was about to walk out.
Yeah, in my favourite look of the whole show, which is pretty annoying. But personally, not malfunctions in terms of like all of our clothes falling off in public, if that's what you mean. Or I haven't. David might have a different story. But I've worn some, if I look back, what I thought at the time and for the sort of subsequent 10 or 15 years, dire decisions in terms of clothes, like an acid wash denim jacket, which I once had, which funnily enough has come back into fashion, which is weird. Not maybe for guys, but for a long time that was my answer, and then what do you know, acid wash has come back, or we're trying to bring it back. Other than that, David's got a really good one that he's going to share with you now.
I had a bad phase where I had peroxide blonde hair and a metal dog collar around my neck, which didn't have a leash.
I think we should just end the hangout on that note. Is that
I wish
okay?
we could cut to photo and that would be it.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Bye.
there is time for one more question, and it's mine.
Oh.
I guess I'm just wondering this from a personal point of view, I guess it's also from a design point of view, but if you could only design with one fabric, what fabric would you choose? Oh my God.
Leather, probably.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were
Leather's,
gonna say, like, chambray.
you thought I was going to say what?
Maybe chambray or a cotton twill.
I mean, you could do that. There's a limited amount of stuff that you can do with that. I mean, there are two fabrics that I love more than anything, not necessarily for what you make out of them. One of them is denim and the other is leather. But both of them for the same reason, is that they get better with age. So you make a piece of clothing or anything out of leather or out of denim. Over time, they get better. It doesn't really happen with anything else, at least not that I can think of. But leather is more versatile. You can make shoes, I can make bags, leather jackets.
Yeah.
I believe that the most timeless pieces beyond the 5-pocket jean in anyone's wardrobe over a period of time, probably most of them are going to be leather related. I think every girl or guy should invest in a perfect leather jacket, and I don't need to go into the attraction of shoes and bags to girls with you guys.
Shoes for me.
Don't understand it, but it's amazing.
Those Nike fly knits look very comfortable.
These are, did you hear that, Nike? My address.
This is also
Do you
sponsored
want to
by
send me some-
Nike.
No, can't do that, can you? But yeah, that was the
Right.
answer.
Interesting. Is that your answer too?
Sounds pretty good to me.
Okay, I guess that about wraps it. Thank you so much, David and Marcus, for joining us. The looks shown today are obviously now available to purchase, so please go ahead and do that. The shoppable hangout was done in partnership with the Council of Fashion Designers of America and Google. So thank you, everybody, and so long.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Probably still on camera, so don't say anything. Just keep waving. Can I take the Secret Service earpiece out? Can I keep it? I was quite excited by that. I've never worn one of these.
Okay, bye.
No, seriously, goodbye.
Bye.
It's time to
All
go.
right.
Well done.